Our next speaker he won a decisive re-election in Ohio, a key battleground state that Donald Trump carried by 10 points. Sherrod has been a dedicated public servant. He is not running, but he accepted to be here, and certainly we are honored that he would come and share with us as he had in the past as we bring on the next candidates. May we welcome the man who turned Ohio a different direction, the Senator from Ohio, Senator Sherrod Brown.
Reverend Sherrod, thank you. It's an honor to be here. I so appreciate getting a chance to speak among all the presidential candidates. I'm not one of them and don't plan to be one of them, but I so appreciate the work you do. I was honored to speak at the legislative conference just back in November, I think, with Reverend Sherrod, and thank you for that. A special shout out to the historically black colleges and universities. There's a panel beginning right now. I am lucky enough to represent the oldest private historically black college, Wilberforce in Ohio. Some of you are Wilberforce graduates, and I teamed up with Marcia Fudge, who is my congresswoman in the city of Cleveland, to get recognized something called the 1890 land grants, which makes a real difference in federal dollar research at Central State University, the other historically black, that's a state university, but the other historically black college in Ohio. So thank you for that. Also a special call out to the hotel staff, the hourly wage earners, and I would like to give them a hand. Progressives always should celebrate hourly wage earners. It is something, in too many cases, they are underpaid and overworked. Now, this is my, many of you I don't know, some of you I do. This is my real voice. I'm not sick, I don't smoke, I just talk this way. And there is a real story about that. My wife and I were at an event some time ago, and I was up on a stage, and there were not tables and chairs. People were packed together, really close to each other. And as I started talking, this guy, who my wife didn't know, never saw before, turns to her, and he says, "I hate that guy's voice." And she said, "Yeah." He said, "Yeah, when that guy speaks, man, it's like fingernails on a blackboard." And Connie said, "I like his voice." And he said, "You like that guy's voice?" And she said, "Yeah, you know when I really like it?" He said, "When?" And she goes like this, and he leans in and said, "I really like his voice when he wakes me up in the middle of the night and says, 'I love you, baby.'" Anyway, need a little humor today. I appreciate, and I know that Reverend Sherrod was, I watched the last couple of speakers, my friend Kamala Harris and Governor Hickenlooper, and I appreciated so much what Reverend Sherrod said about consent decrees. Cleveland's been under a consent decree because of the murder of Tamir Rice. You know that. I was the first senator to come out in opposition to Jeff Sessions when he was nominated by the president because he would not agree to support consent decrees during his nomination process. So I appreciate so much what Reverend Sherrod said. Dr. King said, "Human progress never rolls in on wheels of inevitability." Human progress never rolls in on the wheels of inevitability. It rolls in because of people like Reverend Sherrod. It rolls in because of your activism in the over 100 chapters of the National Action Network around the country. It rolls in despite the forces trying to pull you back. You push forward against the president who got his start questioning the legitimacy of the president of the United States. You push forward against the justice system that is too often unjust. You push forward against efforts to suppress the vote and silence the voices of people all across this country. A month ago, almost a month to the day, for the fifth time, I went to Selma, joining John Lewis and others as we crossed the bridge in the Selma Jubilee. It was not simply a commemoration, but a call to action, a commitment, a recommitment, an acknowledgement of all the work we have to do. And we know since the Shelby case, we know with this Supreme Court, a Supreme Court that puts its thumb on the scales of justice, always deciding for corporations over workers, always deciding for Wall Street over consumers, always deciding for health insurance companies over sick people, always deciding for white supremacists and dark money over voting rights. We know what that fight is. We also know that not only are voting rights under attack, we know the election in Georgia was stolen last year. And that's why the work you do is so important. Now, when Dr. King talked about voting rights, you know what the next steps were. You know the next steps were after voting rights passed Congress, Dr. King declared that phase one. The Poor People's Campaign went north to fight for economic justice. Dr. King understood the importance of the civil rights movement and the labor movement together. That was what he talked about, that all work has dignity. He was martyred, of course, as you know, he was martyred fighting for some of the most exploited workers in America, sanitation workers in Memphis. He taught all work has dignity. He said no work is menial if it pays adequate wages. He said that the dignity of work means hard work pays off for everyone, whether you punch a clock, whether you swipe a badge, whether you work for tips, whether you work on salary, whether you're raising children, whether you're taking care of an aging parent, whether you're a community organizer, or whether you're a hotel worker in this hotel. Dignity of work means equal pay. Dignity of work means fighting for good benefits. Dignity of work means having control over your work schedule. Dignity of work means a safe workplace. Dignity of work means fighting the institutional racism and sexism that so often pays women of color and men of color less than it does people that look like me. And dignity of work means undoing the legacy of decades of lending and housing discrimination that robbed too many African Americans of their economic opportunity and the ability to create wealth. And we know what we're up against. We're up against this phony populism that President Trump has used to divide our country. Populism is never racist. Populism is never anti-Semitic. Populism never divides people. Populism doesn't give tax cuts to rich people and then cut Head Start and then cut Medicaid. Populism, President Trump tries to divide, but we won't let him divide us. We won't let him distract us. We love this country too much. This is our America. We will not cede the hallowed grounds of patriotism to those extremists. Thank you so much.